Xin chao. Hello everyone. How are we all doing? So this is going to be the next coronavirus update for Vietnam. I'd say things have escalated pretty quickly here. So let's just jump right into the info like we usually do. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope everybody's staying healthy. I hope everybody's self-isolating. I hope if you are going out that you're wearing a face mask. Yeah, I just hope everyone's doing okay. Really, really do. As you know, all my videos are demonetized now, so if you do want to give something back to me, you can give to the Patreon. I'll be doing 2 to 3 videos exclusively for Patreon every week. You will get my real narrative of what I think of what China will do and other things like this. Also, it's just a way to really be a part of the group and to let me know that you appreciate what I'm doing. I'm glad that I was able to help so many people in canceling their trips and not coming in March and April. Yeah, it could have been bad if you tried to have. Now you can't even, but if you would have possibly came in the beginning of March, you could be in quarantine like a lot of foreigners on travel are here now. So let's jump into it. 206 infected and we have 56 discharged in all of Vietnam. As of tomorrow, there will be a COVID-19 curfew, stay at home, no gathering of more than 2 people starts tomorrow. The grocery and convenience stores are packed as of right now. If you just go down to like the GS Mart, there's 10 or 15 people buying a bunch of noodles and stuff like that. And they're selling a lot of products. Somehow they're able to keep up with demand, which is great. So not really much sells out. Everyone and anyone has a mask on now. You're required by the Vietnamese government to wear a mask if you go out. So if you don't have a mask on, you're immediately told to go home or to put a mask on. They're asking people not to leave their homes. Yesterday, however, while a ban of over 20 people has already been in place in Vietnam, of like not collecting with a group of 20 or more, has been in place for a few weeks now, and Nha Trang Beach had thousands of people gathered, had thousands of people playing soccer, swimming, sunbathing, which is understandable. You don't want to be locked up, but at the same time, it's the same reason why America had such a large problem with how many are infected and how bad it's going into America. It's really bad in America, and it's going to continue to get really bad. We're not going to blame anyone anymore. We're just going to talk about how we can curve this thing. So it's time to call upon the people to stay home. In America, in Vietnam, in any country, in Asia, no matter where you're at, no matter where you're watching this from. The best thing we can do is to listen to our guts and to look at the information and to just stay home. How hard is it to just stay home for a few weeks? It's probably going to be a month, month and a half, 2 months of actual stay-at-home isolation. It's not that bad. I've already been practicing it for like 60 days. So if you come up with a plan and you have a daily routine, it's not as difficult as it may seem. While I understand a lot of you didn't get enough food and water and you'll need to go out for that, that's fine. But do it with PPE on, a face mask. Do it quickly, get your stuff, don't overbuy, come home. Let's see. Curving this thing is really what's most important right now. A lot of people got mad at me for saying Trump did a failed job, which I still stick by. I think he did do a failed job. I'm sorry you're not agreeing to what I have to say there, but he did a disservice to the American people by saying you would be back in April for Easter and saying that this thing was under control when it really is not under control in America. And that partly has to do with a lot of how American people are. Most Americans, and me included, think we know a lot of everything, and we have to see things with our own eyes to almost believe it, and we have a distrust in what anyone tells us. But at the same time, we can still gobble up what a CNN or a Fox News tells us. So it's a weird thing to say, but it's now on our hands, on our shoulders to do the right things. As Americans and anywhere, we need to social distance, we need to stay home, and we need to just ride this thing out. The economy is not the most important thing. I promise you, all the economies aren't going to fall in every country. Yes, they're going to take a great dip, and yes, we will probably go into some sort of recession, but it's not going to be the end of the world. And we don't need to force people to go out to work to make the economy work. We're going to have to, after this, figure out a new way for a new economy where it's more where it can be done at home and at the workplace. We should already be there. We have the technology to do that. My IT business, I've been able to work remotely for years without having to go anywhere. More efficient than I could to driving to the places any day of any week. For example, someone would queue in a ticket and say, oh, I have this problem and this problem. I could go on in 5 minutes instead of driving from Venice to Gardena, which would take me 45 minutes to an hour and a half in rush hour. Or maybe I wouldn't be able to go that day because I had 2 other clients. So with the technologies we have now, we can do a lot of things more efficiently from our own homes. So that's how we have to look at this stuff. I know we need to worry about the economy too. We don't want shit to like downward spiral. But we can't take one guy's narrative or one leader's narrative and say that they're doing a great job when they really haven't. Some countries have, some haven't. Like I said, this isn't a blame game. I personally don't like the way it was handled in America, but that doesn't mean that we're not entitled to our opinions and stuff like this. We're at the point now where we're over that. Like that's already done and over with. That shit's already played out. That ship's already sailed. So it's already to a boom in America. So now at this point, we have to wear face masks. We have to take care of each other. We have to not panic buy, and we have to stay home, and we have to social distance. We really do. Let's see, what else do I got? Most likely for the time frame of going back to work for all countries, because we all seem to kind of be in the same boat now. I think everyone's going to have close to 100,000 infections within a month or so. I've gone over the China narrative in my Patreon, but China has fully launched their stuff back into work, but it's all under false pretenses. If you really just look at like China Uncovered or a couple other channels that really report on just China stuff, you'll see people are rioting, people are speaking up, people are getting arrested. While they've been forced back to do things, it's not going that way. Each province is handling it differently, and there's extreme racism towards anyone that is not Chinese in China right now. And China's narrative is already that it's an American virus and it's a foreigner virus, and they want all foreigners out pretty much in any kind of conditions. People are seeing horrific things there that live there as foreigners. They're getting spit on, they're getting rejected from hotels, their apartment buildings are trying to kick them out. I mean, if I'm in China and I'm a foreigner now, I'm going home. If you can go home, get out of there. You're not going to have a good time there for at least a year, because China's already flipped the narrative, and Chinese people don't have access to real internet and real information like the rest of the world does, essentially. So they just believe whatever the TV tells them and whatever they read on the thing. So only people that are really real right there are the people in Hubei province. Like, they're trying to get out of there and they can't go anywhere because no other province lets them in. So they're the ones rioting, flipping cars and all this stuff. You can find this stuff. If you want to research this, you can find it on your own. So no more blaming governments, no more blaming leaders, no more blaming anyone. It's on our shoulders to do things. It's the best thing to stay at home, stay 6 feet away from somebody if you're in public, social distance, treat this thing like it's real. I hate that I have to say for the 9,000th time, it's not the common cold, it's not the common flu, it's not the common anything. This is the most difficult virus we've ever had to deal with ever in all of life. So I mean, many professionals are saying that. Even American professionals are saying that. Kumio is doing quite a good job of reporting on the facts there. All right, what else do we have as far as... Okay, so someone asked me to talk about like work visas here, visas, work permits, all this stuff here, the health declaration. So the first thing I'm going to start with is just like visa, a travel visa. So if you're here already on travel visa and you've already been here before the COVID hit, they will extend out your visa depending on what your country's rules are. As far as business visas, same thing, they will extend out as if you're already here. Here's the kind of messed up part in my opinion, is the work permits. They stopped all work permits. So I was in the middle of filing for my work permit, and now they don't know, they don't have a timeline. Like, we're really good friends with a visa guy that owns a visa business here, and he's like, dude, I don't know what the timeline is on work permit. They're not issuing any right now, and it might be a long time before they do. So if you're going the route of a work permit, yeah, you need to find a different way to figure that out. The health declaration, somebody asked me to explain that here too. So that's a big deal. We're going to cover that in the final page of everything, because they're going bananas on the health declaration thing here. But it's just a letter that states that you don't have any of the symptoms. And if you don't, then you just state it. It's like an online app thing you fill out. Took me like 5 minutes to fill mine out. So right when the government asked, I don't know, a few weeks ago for everyone to go online and do the health declaration, I did it immediately. I want to be a part of solving this thing and not solving it and not lying and helping them gather all the data they can to get it going. A really good thing Vietnam does here, like South Korea does and a couple of other real proactive countries that don't see large spikes in outbreak, is they let you know exactly who got infected, where it was, if it was at a bar, if they were jumping, where they went, what flight it was on. They give you all that information, so in case you were there, you can go and tell, hey, I was in this potential same thing with this person that is infected. So they've done tracing since the beginning, since literally January. They've traced out every person. A couple people are complaining that Vietnam's not doing the greatest job, really, and do cover-ups, blah, blah, blah. No, man. No. Sorry, guys. No. They are overrun right now in quarantine, so that's why they've cut off all incoming flights, because they have nowhere to quarantine anyone. So now they're at like a threshold right now. So no more people need to come in. They need to handle what they have now, or then they're going to run into a problem like they already are in Hanoi, of where one of the quarantine camps is running out of food. It's running out of basic necessities because they're just so overwhelmed with quarantining people and checking them. Just today they got 300,000 rapid tests from Korea. So now they're going to start implementing rapid tests as of an hour ago in all those areas. So, and they're going to run those 2 or 3 times, and then they're going to take another test and send it to another laboratory. So they're taking into account for false negatives even, which is all proactive on my end. Let's see. School is called off indefinitely now. For here in Ho Chi Minh, it's sad to say, but a lot of the main new cases, as of today, 15 of the new cases, is this one man that decided to go to Buddha Bar in mid-March and stay out till 2 a.m. with no face mask on, get drunk with a couple of buddies, and party it up like it was 1999 in the midst of a pandemic virus. I don't understand that. The last time I went out, I want to say it was around March 5th when we were clean, when there was not one reported case for like 30 days. So I was like, okay, I'll go get a beer with my buddy, because he was actually my best friend, because he was going back to Germany. So I was like, yeah, I'll go out. And then me and Frank went out a few times. We shot the Bentham Market, did a couple other things. But as soon as they reported another case, I was immediately back in isolation, because I've just seen how it went in all the other countries. I'm a bit of a nut on like tracking this thing and seeing where it's all at. I don't find it depressing. I think you're armed with more knowledge the more you research, so that's just how I look at it. So I saw how it played out in other places when stuff like this would happen, and even if you do good, it's safer to just buckle down. I have a nice apartment too, so that really helps with me staying home. I imagine that guy's feeling some guilt, the Buddha Bar guy. Like, I imagine he's not stoked that he got 3 of his friends infected and then 12 other people in that bar infected. I mean, he's probably like, shit, this sucks. What if somebody dies? Almost every single new case is from somebody from the USA returning, whether it's a Viet that was in the USA, or a Viet over in Europe, or an American, or just a tourist from Europe or USA, is almost what all new cases are in Vietnam are. None of them. There hasn't been one that's traced as starting here. So they're all imported cases. And that's because people insisted, a lot of it's because people insisted on traveling in March still. I don't know how you could just take one person's word on one thing to do. How hard, like if I was going to go on a trip, even from February on, like say if I was in America and I was going to go on a trip, I would have been researching so heavily. And I would have just called it off. I would have been like, nah, I can wait. Like, why do I want to even risk this? This doesn't sound fun. Who wants to be in a 14-day quarantine? No. There's no way I would have traveled in all of March and all of February. I mean, I'm not trying to shame anyone, but I'm just saying a bit of common sense would have helped us out in a lot of this, you know? Oh, this is where this gets real interesting. So they've had a rash of people running away from camps, quarantine camps here, and people falsifying their medical declaration. So now they've rolled out some new things. Anyone attempting to flee quarantine can face up to 5 years jail and or a fine of up to 200 million dong, which is $9,000. One example is a 26-year-old Hanoian girl failed to make a proper declaration. Also, an American girl had a fever and cough. She ran from her Da Nang quarantine. Wow, where are you going to go, American girl? I would love it if you watched this video and told me what was in your mind that told you you could just run away from Da Nang and go somewhere. There's no international flights. Where were you going to go? Where were you going to go? What point would that even make? You possibly could have gave it to whoever, the grab driver that grabbed you, etc., etc., etc. Just, no. But they caught her the same day and brought her back into the thing. So anyone that tries to actually, once they're in the quarantine and flee, can suffer a $5,000 fine or jail for up to 12 years. So Vietnam didn't do a lockdown today. Ho Chi Minh didn't do a lockdown, and Hanoi didn't do a lockdown, but they enacted, as of tomorrow, Wednesday, a heavy social distancing. They made it to where they don't want you to be with anyone groups larger of 20 from the whole country. They don't want you to go out if you don't have to go out. They're shutting down all non-essential businesses. So the only businesses that will be open are like a pharmacy, a grocery store, a convenience store, probably a gas station, and that's it. In restaurants. In Japantown, I was talking about since the beginning, if you watch my Instagram, fatandbroke_, is Japantown's a fairly more expensive restaurant scale, and they all had to shut, but they kept following their expensive restaurant menu, which made no sense. I kept saying, guys, in my head, I'd walk by the restaurant, and they'd go take out still, but no discount would be on there. And I'd be like, I don't think anyone's going to buy a $18 steak today, or a $12 cheeseburger. So finally, as of yesterday, a lot of these places are doing 20-30% off, which is, if they want to stay afloat through this, that's what they have to do. You have to give a big discount in these areas in Vietnam if you're going to want to stay open. The unfortunate thing about this is a lot of businesses are going to close here because it's going to be a long time while they're down. They're saying this social distancing law that they've enacted tomorrow will be till April 15th, but more than likely it'll be much longer than that. A 10-year-old boy is now infected in Vietnam with COVID-19. He's in okay condition so far. Hopefully he stays in good condition and he heals fine. He deserves to have the rest of his life to live and not let a virus get him down. People are buying a heck of a lot of stuff here, but there is no real panic buying. They're just buying, instead of like, the 2 noodles for the day, they'll buy 10 noodles. Instead of 1 water bottle, they'll buy 2 water bottles. So that's where that's at. They've officially deemed it today a national epidemic in Vietnam now. Not a lockdown, just a mass social distance. So they really want to drive it through that it's not a lockdown. In fact, they fined a Viet man that was in his mid-20s yesterday for inciting that there would be a lockdown in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh tomorrow, when it's in fact not a lockdown. So let me break it down one more time. So tomorrow I can still go out, but I can only go to essential businesses, and I can only do it with one other person. If I'm caught with more than one other, if I'm with a group of 4 people, I'm probably going to get harassed and asked to go home, or maybe fined or something like this. Not that I go out anywhere anymore. If I need something, there's a 7-Eleven right below. There's a GS Mart, which is a Korean place, and then there's Vin Mart, which is Vietnam's like 7-Eleven. So I can go to any 3 of those and usually find anything I need between those 3 stores. We fully stocked up here, so we're ready for this thing. And I didn't stock up in a panic buy. I've been talking about it since February 1st. I've been buying stuff since February 1st. My entire freezer's full. My fridge is full. My pantry is deep as all deep. I ordered a lot of water throughout the past 2 months, so I have plenty of water. I've even bought some fans now because I'm in a central air high-rise building, and if someone infected gets here, they will cut the central air. And it's like 90 degrees here a day, so I don't have to rely on fan power. So yeah. We've cut back on all expenses. We're not buying anything. We're not spending any extra money on anything. We're saving all of our money. Thankfully, my family came through and helped me a little bit out with that, because YouTube doesn't really pay me anything. The only financial support gain I get out of YouTube is my Patreons, which you guys mean the world to me. Thank you so much. I hope you guys all stay safe. I appreciate it. Let's see. I think that's all I got, man. That's what I got for you guys today. I don't want to argue with anybody in the comments. I don't want to hear any Trump did a great job and all this shit in my comments. I'm just going to delete them now because they're just so pointless to the message I'm trying to get out. I'm not trying to point a finger at one person and say one person did bad. So yeah, that's where we're at. I hope everyone stays safe, stays healthy. If you plan to trip anywhere, cancel that trip. You're not going to be traveling anywhere comfortably till July or August at the earliest. There's a reason why the 2020 Olympics aren't going on until next year now, and every event in the world is pretty much canceled. So just research a bunch of other places if you're still not on board with this, if you're a late responder to this and still think it's just not that big of a deal. Unfortunately, Win-Win's boss still got her working every day and thinks it's not that big of a deal. He's a Korean dude, and he's like, yeah, my friend's business is still going, we still come to work. And it's like in a huge high-rise, and there's only like 2 other businesses running. But this guy insists that it's not that big of a deal. He's asking her to book golfing, trying to find a golf course to golf at. There's like 1 golf course in all of Saigon open now. So I mean, some people were never going to win over that this is a big deal until literally it's at like their front door, and like their grandma or their mom or their brother or their wife is infected. Until they like see it with their own eyes, they're going to be like, nah, not a big deal. Not a big deal. And this whole boomers that said they're going to put the economy first and they don't mind, this is a terrible thing to die from. It's like you run out of air, and then they can't do anything for you towards the end. It's just like you just keep running out of air. It's a terribly painful death. So we don't want anybody we know to have this and die from it. That's all I'm saying. If we wear masks, if we stay social distancing, and if we stay home, we can curve this thing so much faster than it would be trying to work the economy quickly and get people back in a working manner within like 14, 28 days. That's just not the way to look at it. We have to stop it now, immediately, in its tracks before it becomes some crazy Resident Evil type shit. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Any comments, questions, any personal questions, you can DM me on Instagram at fatandbroke_. That's all I got. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. I love all you guys. I appreciate you watching. If you do like the videos, tell your friends, show your friends. We've got to grow my channel. I've lost 20 subscribers in the past 2 days. I think YouTube's deleting people. So yeah, that's what I got. Peace out.